5 most common myths about VA disability.
Whiskey 9 Yankee 7 November Golf, over.
Starting with number 5, and this is going to be controversial out the gate, and believe it or not, the VA is not out to get you or deny your claim. If you submit the proper evidence, which is the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the Nexus, the VA will award you your claim. And your goal is to make it as easy as possible for the rater to award you your claim. Now the Nexus leads us to number 4, which is, do you need a Nexus for every single claim? C&P examiners will determine your current diagnosis, they will determine the severity of your symptoms, and they will provide a Nexus. A Nexus is linking your current diagnosis to military service. Now there is a time and place when a veteran should consider a private Nexus or a independent medical opinion. Me personally, I would only recommend a independent medical opinion if your claim has 1, been denied, or 2, you're going after a secondary connection, and it also depends on what secondary you're actually wanting to claim. Although I'm a huge fan of fully developed claims, for initial claims, I would highly recommend just submitting the in-service event and the current diagnosis. And number 3 is secondary claims. Everyone on YouTube, myself included, will tell you that your 10% disability for tinnitus can get you to 70 or 90%, which is true sometimes. This is absolutely clickbait, and you can take this concept and apply it to any secondary. Now, common secondaries of tinnitus are migraines and anxiety, and that's absolutely true. But the question is, does your tinnitus cause your migraines or your anxiety? It's not the same for everyone, and it's definitely not a check in the box. So just because you have tinnitus and you've been diagnosed with migraines doesn't necessarily mean a medical professional is going to connect your migraines to your tinnitus. Number 2 on this list is combat veterans get more disability than veterans that didn't see combat. Listen to me very carefully here. VA disability has absolutely nothing to do with combat at all. Now, veterans that have seen combat and have combat MOSs are probably more likely to incur injuries on deployment or during training, just because their training is, generally speaking, more rigorous than others. But that's not always the case. A veteran who was an administrator with 0 deployments is just as entitled to VA disability as an infantry person with 10 deployments. You can be injured during PT, you may have had a very serious event like a car accident or a sexual trauma or a harassment or an assault. Something could happen to anyone in service, not just on deployment. And whatever happens to you during military service could potentially be compensated for with VA disability. Combat has nothing to do with VA disability, and that's just that. And the number 1 VA disability myth is, I don't care if you're 10%, 50%, or 100% disabled, VA disability does not equal you being disabled. VA disability is not Social Security disability, meaning a veteran with a 100% VA disability rating can be a millionaire and fully functional in their day-to-day life. Obviously, there's an exception when claiming TDIU, and that veteran is subject to income limitations, but not all forms of income count. We all signed the contract and took an oath, and during that time period, we incurred injuries, we were hurt, we were damaged in some way, shape, or form, and in some ways, a lot more than others. Therefore, we are compensated because there is no getting your health back. And in the event you do get your health back, the VA will simply take that rating. So a veteran with a 70% rating for PTSD may be functional in life, and they definitely have some disabilities and some serious symptoms there, but they can still go to work, they can still go to the gym, they can do whatever they want. They might have a 10% rating for lumbar strain, they might have radiculopathy in each leg, they might have sleep apnea, they may have knee strains, they may have flat feet, and all of that combined is 100%. That does not mean that veteran can't go to the gym, that does not mean that they are disabled, that does not mean they can't work All it means is they have 100% VA disability and they are compensated for those disabilities. Not to mention, our families deal with our disabilities too.